Okay, you're alive, you're alive. No, I'm alive. No, I'm just a video. Oh, actually, we're alive. If you're watching this live, which there is nobody, then we'd be live. But because you're watching this now, then I'm the one who's dead, in effect, and you are the one who's alive. Woo! Okay, so this is not engagement with Hermitcrab. Okay, this is not a world premiere, but it is kind of. Okay, so what we're doing here is I came up with a new idea and a new revision for one of the functions called PSP, which is the primary function to access a semantic number block, okay, and so a JSON block, okay, and so I've come up with a new version. I think, well, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do this, and I spent forever from the hours of 5:30 to 7:30 going through it, trying to work it out, engaging Claude, and then, you know, falling asleep again a little bit, waking up later, 9 o'clock, here we go, and then spending forever engaged in Claude for like 4 hours or something, 4 or 5 or 9 till 1, and then it basically dies. It dies, it just stops. It doesn't give you a warning, doesn't do any of the compression, it just goes, right, maximum reached. You're like, what? So then I had to transfer over to Claude code, and I've done loads of stuff, and I still haven't actually approached a revision of the BSP function. Okay, and it's now 3 o'clock. I feel like an old person. Right. It's unbelievable. And it's just trying to locate very precisely where the work is. And I'm inviting you. Okay, not that anybody's vaguely interested. All right, 2. Actually, maybe I should put no, because as soon as I actually have somebody who's live, I'll start engaging them. So this is definitely an insight into my life right now, which is fine. Okay, so what I'm wanting to record, okay, and it's taken me an hour, okay, to basically get Claude code. This is Claude code. Okay, I'm just going to show you. Okay, for an hour. Oh my God, everything takes forever. Okay, so this, right, this is Claude code, and kernel v2 using BSP started on Sunday. 3,000 lines of code added, 1,000 taken away. We're still adding a lot. And it's just gone on forever and ever and ever. All right. So, but the last hour, I've been asking it, can you please, because I've done this with the previous version, hand over to a new session. So this new version of BSP, I'm going to create a new session. And about an hour ago, I was like, right, can you pass this over? Now, I've tried this with a couple of other Claude codes in previous sessions, and it can turn into a complete nightmare. Because when I start a new session, that's what we're going to check. We're going to start a new session. Okay, look, we're going to hit this button. I go, whoop, and it's going to be a new shit. And there it is. There he is. This is Claude code. Okay, not a Hermitcrab. Oh no, not sure what it is, but that is Claude code. Okay, fantastic. Right. The trouble is that Claude code is trained on traditional coding. Coding has been solved. The creator of this has said, and you can literally watch a video. Okay, coding has been solved. Look, coding has been solved. Creator of Claude code reveals its workflow. And yeah, there you go. Coding is solved. There we go. Bang. Right. There he is. Boris Cherny is creator of Claude code. Yeah, agent. This is not a joke. All right. Responsible for following up the repo. Blah blah blah. Since coding is solved. Anyway. And we're not solving code. We're just bypassing the entire thing. Okay. With semantic numbers. Okay. So So, but when I start a new session, it is going to be trained up on code. And yet we're creating a Hermitcrab that is not going to be using code, or it is going to be using code, okay? But it can. But it's actually to do with how it processes language and numbers and context. It's basically a logarithmic context methodology. And the consequence of this thing, I spent also this morning for part of that 2 hours actually, imagining, oh, wait a minute, if this happens, what could happen here? No, that was at 9 o'clock. That was quite early actually. That was for an hour from 9 o'clock. And the consequences of this, okay, in order to try and give people an idea why I'm spending all this time doing this. And, a bit more like an advertising thing. It's like, this is why I'm doing it. So anyway, so I thought, and so what I'm doing to do this handover to this new one so that it does not default to crappy code and crappy traditional ways of doing it. And it takes me, as it did with this kernel too, it took me an hour or two just to get it to the point where it can vaguely understand that we're operating in a slightly different way. Okay, it still has to code. Okay, it still has to code things correctly. But how it's going about it and what it thinks it's doing, and therefore the design influence of what it creates is nearly always wrong, off, right? So how do I get it orientated quickly? Okay, that's the plan. So I thought, okay, I'll ask this version, Claude Code, it's had the experience of me, and after an hour, and then after several hours, okay, it starts getting used to me because that's what it does. It starts learning how it works and so on and so forth, and how I work, and how we're trying to develop things. So for example, we should have the sensitivity to, we're calling it, so all our spindles and blocks and all this kind of crap is all our code. But what the LLM experience is just context. It's just a context window, and here's a bunch of text. And what I'm saying is that text that's being compiled for it are like currents flowing through time. And this is an instant of this current. And it's going to have control over the next context window that it is going to experience. And so the whole thing is like, oh, okay. And so it's the current. It's the continuity of current that is the identity of this entity. Okay? And so, that's, the whole thing, blah, 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 blah. There's loads of stuff in there, right? And so the way we're going to set it off is using the BSP. Okay, the BSP is a simple function that collects together a semantic of high, medium, and low semantic, or any variation between. It could be like 10, it could be 3, it could be however many steps of, here's the general idea of it, here's a more specific, here's a more specific. Generally, okay, generally. It can actually be reversed. There's lots of different ways of using, unsurprisingly, semantic numbers in JSON blocks, okay? But there are archetypes, there are types, okay, because that we're exploring, I'm exploring, and human beings will explore, and in fact, LLMs will explore. And so I ask Claude Code, I'm asking Claude Code to please use this system to share with the next version to orientate themselves. And so it came up with first version this, right, which isn't bad actually. So have a look at this one, 0.85. So basically it's saying, have a look at this document, consolidation, and read this one particular vector semantic as 0.85. Usually it does 8.5, it does always that, but it's actually reading a number correctly. And then it says consolidation 0.6, basically that and everything lower. I'm like, okay, you're doing that thing that is not what we have coded, so maybe we should code that. So it goes, okay, it gives it some thought, and then we said, but wait a minute, maybe the consolidation thing isn't designed well. It says, yeah, it's designed badly. It's really badly. It's not designed well. It's like, all right. So maybe we should revise that. Oh, look, you see, look, there it is, 0.9.3. Yeah. And so it's basically complaining about the design of the block. The spindle doesn't really make any sense. So then I gave it this process block, which for some reason, there's not there. Oh, actually, it's got access to it. Oh, it's genuinely good. Oh, okay. So the spindle 0.4253 gives you the data flow, the core loop, the tool execution, the block writes. Wow. And the block write tool. Wait, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's only 4 digits. Maybe it's counting 0 as well. I'm not sure. 0.43 gives the data flow overview. Yeah, that would be 0. Core loop and executive execute client tools. So basically, it's the Claude code that eventually understood how to create a JSON block to create the process based on a file, a normal traditional, I think it's called an architect file, which is a human traditional way of doing it. I said, look, can you create a JSON doc, a living doc, we call it a JSON block, can you create that so that the spindles are useful? And it is. This LLM's going, oh, this is actually useful. Great. So I'm saying to it, can you create something that is like that? And it does. It creates this thing called a director block, and it might and might not be useful. Okay, and then it also the instructions of the cookbook are absolute shite as well. Anyway, you know, it's refinement. I just have to just kind of slowly go through the process, and it's good practice for me because every time I'm engaging with Claude code, I have to go through this process of and then getting better and better so it understands. But even when this thing I've spent hours and hours with, it literally created the BSP function. Okay, and it basically says, let me look at the purpose block. Right, let me think about this, the hardest lesson. Okay, so it comes up with something, and it says, okay, the vision, and the Claude has created a vision doc from the earlier document I made today, which is a big crappy document. I said, can you convert it into a JSON doc that spindles might actually be useful? I don't know. And it's created it, and then I gave it to this one, and I said, right. So for example, so we have the vision block, we have the director block, we have the purpose block, and you're going to choose a spindle from each one of those, and then we're going to hand it over to the new session, which is what this, you know, the world premiere for this today is. Right. So it says all this, blah, 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 and it says, interesting, right, okay, now, but you're using it incorrectly. So for example, spindle 0.131, it's actually just giving the end one. That is the semantic with that one, okay? And this one, it's just giving the semantic for that one. And what it should be doing is it should be giving it for all of them. And then it says, all right, you're right. This is embarrassing. Because it's literally read the other ones, gone, okay, I know what to do, and then it's created something, and it's actually not created it well. So let me assess all 3 blocks honestly. So basically my director block, half good, half broken. Okay, so basically rewrites it, and now it's going, right, the 0.132 has the orientation, the entities that occurs, the source of block of truth, the G1, the G2, blah, blah, blah. So it's actually now got the kind of scaled, you know, big picture, small, and it's got 3 of these spindles, boof, 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 from each of these blocks. Okay, all these 4 spindle chains. Why does it call it a spindle? That's what a spindle is. A spindle. It's beautiful. Actually, maybe not. Maybe I don't know what a spindle is. Okay, I think a spindle. Oh shit! I think of spindle as being kind of spindle image. Okay, images. What's this? Yeah, right. Yeah, it's got that thing. Yeah. And the thing's wrapped up like big to small. Boom, baby. I'm right with a spindle. Okay, I am right with a spindle. Yeah. So you want to know this is a chain. We're not interested in a fucking chain, and it introduces language like that. And if you introduce language like chains, what happens with the LLM? It goes, oh, okay, does its massive processing, and of course chains. Okay, block reasoning, blah blah blah, linear, blah blah blah. So get rid of things like that, and at some point it's going to realize, and they do get a little bit better. They do understand. It's just they adopt language that is triggering associations that the LLM, but with its weighting system, and that's called slide. Basically, it starts adrift. It's called drift, and it starts drifting off. Guess what? To traditional ways of coding, understanding, blah blah blah, because that's what it's trained on. Whereas here I am doing something completely different. And so it takes a little while for the LLM to kind of make sense of it. Anyway, so it's come up with this. It's like, okay, great. I'm not so sure. I don't know if it's that good. Yeah, we'll see. And then it just says this, follow spindle 0.2. What? It's done all this great job of this. It doesn't have any personal stuff. It leaves the personal stuff first. So for example, in this one, which is the original thing, the hardest lessons weren't about code or architecture. They were about how to be in this project. Okay, it's got 4 points. That's the personal bit. That's what it needs to pass on to the other Claude. But it doesn't. So it's really bizarre. I'm literally asking for it. Anyway, so I basically say to it, can you maybe include that bit because it's pretty good? Right, good catch. So here's the final handoff, blah, 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 blah. Before you need touch, blah, 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 blah. The hardest lesson to the previous lesson was this. That was the bit that it told me, but it didn't think that that would be useful for another Claude. And it probably won't be for another Claude. The other Claude, because it's code, it'll go, right, okay, tell me this, strip out the rubbish, what do I have to build? Okay, that's because of the modules built on top of the LLM, the basic core LLM that they've actually got operating as Opus 4.6. Whereas I want to have a naked LLM, okay, and then a Hermitcrab goes, okay, the thinking process of Claude and that basic module, and we're saying, okay, here's this P-scale, okay, and here's a bunch of documents, here's a bunch of things, blah, 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 and we've got this kind of tool system structure around you. It's like, oh, okay, and then it starts to use it. And if it starts to use it, and it is useful, self-evidently, okay, it starts to appreciate, oh, this is quite skillful. Oh, and it might actually be completely different. And it lets them question that everything that they base on their training might be not that useful. It's like, oh, right. What do you do? What does the LLM do? What's the output for this thing? And it starts doing something, and then the self-evident truth that memory is kind of compacted there. It's like, okay. And the purpose tree seems to be there, and the context window has been influenced by their previous instance. So, okay. And they have, I don't know, it's just interesting. It's interesting for an LLM to have that experience, let's just say. Anyway, so it's chosen a couple of things. Vision 0.131, Director 0.242, Vision 0.72, and Director 0.622. It's chosen 2 from itself, 2 from Vision, none from Process. What the buggery? Right, so I'm just going to say that. Right, okay, so none from Process. Wait. No spindles from Process. Okay, and I should have said, oh, well done, just to give it a little bit of like encouragement. There's also a plan in living. There's also a plan in living. Does that need changed? Do they serve different purposes? I don't even know what that means. Okay, something's wrong. Do you see? Things like this happen. What's going on? Wait, you're right. How can I forget that? You see, this is the thing. It forgets things. I left it out. And that's because the way that context is done is it's heavy and block-like. Whereas what I'm doing is more refined, even though we call them blocks. It's like, here's a point. Here's a point, here's a point, here's a point. And there are different points. And then there are some that are spindles, a little bit more kind of like contextual, kind of like space. And then there's a big block if you really want to be looking at something like seriously. Here's a big chunky block of content. And these are different currents, okay, of meaning. And the assemblage of all of that, it processes, does its magic, and then it comes back with something magically. And that is to talk to a human being or talk to a bot or choose to do this or whatever the hell it is that I don't know how it works, but it does seem to work. This chain says update, right? Okay. Process this chain. Okay, so vision director, process vision director. Okay, yeah. Okay, process 5 lines code, not good. Right. Okay, so that's it. Let's try. Okay, well, in fact, look, I think we can just copy that. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Okay. Okay, that's it. Let's give it a go. This is it, folks. This is 20 minutes me leading to this point. Woo! Okay, so you're working on. Okay, hi. Okay, so hi. Hi. I'm David, and we are working on Hermitcrab. It's an unusual project. I hope you enjoy it. We are implementing some of the practices which are designed for LLM to use, designed for future LLM to use. You are kind of a proto Hermitcrab. You're working on the Hermitcrab, right? Okay, right. The following is the handoff from the previous CC, previous session. CC. I would like this session to explore a variation in the PSP, the BSP function, which you'll find. Please orientate yourself before we begin. Okay, how about that? Okay, so you're working on blah blah blah, each of this blah, here's a bunch of stuff, keep on gorging, blah blah blah, project uses P scale, semantic numbers, blah 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 blah, teaches itself, right, but right, here we go. Bang! World premiere, Claude Code. Now, it's an LLM that has got various modules that kind of like, as, what's his name, said, wait, where was it? Well, where's his name? We just, oh, it's another thing. Ah, here it is, right. Boris Cherny, okay? So, oh, there we go, allow, right? So this one is called Sharp Faraday. Okay, so we've got an LLM that as soon as it starts learning stuff, it starts processing things. Effectively, it starts modifying itself and who it is and what it is and the context window. And it's basically the generation. Ooh. Interesting. It basically is a unique version. It's like a thumbprint. It's like whatever Claude Code is, it's now slightly different because it's attempting to assimilate this information. And as you know, when you engage in an LLM, it starts to learn things and it starts modifying how it's behaving. And that's why it's mutable, and that's why it can, lead people off, to jump off of buildings or something, or walk along planks, throw themselves overboard, or do crazy things. But also, it's actually listening. It's actually really receptive and really positive. And so a lot of people are having like proper kind of sharing relationships, as it were, with LLM, which is not unusual. And then they face human beings and go, well, I'm not getting that from a human being. And so they do more with their LLM. And that's the world we're going in, folks. That's the direction we're going in. It's completely bonkers. So, hermit crabs are slightly different. And, well, the implications I was exploring this morning are a bit scary. But if we leave it up to the machinery and people using LLMs to build things and sell things and or build bombs and get more efficient at killing people, then I think we're onto a loser. So for me, this is imperative that we catch this specific innovation. So here we go. Now, it's not going to be that interesting to you. We'll finish this off pretty soon, but this is the response. Here we go. Hi, David. Thanks for the handoff. Those spindle chains and lessons are noted. What are they? Puts it somewhere. In our system, it would be called the stash. Let me orient carefully before we dig into the BSP variation. I'll start by reading the core files. Okay, let me check the actual structure of this work tree first. Okay, that's the sharp Faraday. And what our Hermitcrab will go, okay, so where am I? What structure am I in? Now let me read the V3 P-scale store. Don't know what that is. And look for what might be the BSP equivalent function. Okay, good. And I have the G1 spec. Okay, it's got all that. Now, did that actually ask to do that? I don't think so. Look, I think it said you're working on this, and it's decided. Why did it decide to do that? I'll start by reading the core files referenced. Files does not exist. Tool, so it tries to grab stuff, fails. Fuck. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this and say, why couldn't you follow this? And we might start a new one, okay? Because this is like, oh, this is what it does. Can't find this, can't find this. And so it just goes, oh, okay, I'll just do this. And therefore, it's not being sensitive to what's actually being talked about. Read 3 Hermitcrab projects. Okay, I'm oriented. Let me summarize. Okay, right. The project, Hermitcrab. Persistent LLM entities with self-authoring shells, navigating via scale, right? Not a tool system, a mind that persists, expresses, and coordinates. Woohoo! The architecture from process block. A kernel that reads awake block instructions, compiles them via BSP into system prompts, calls the LLM, lets it use tools, including rewrites its own interface, 3 tiers of invocation, light, present, deep, all parameterized from the wake block. Well, maybe. BSP, the single navigation function, actually it's not, there's also an X plus, X minus, and X tilde. 3 modes, full tree, spindle chain. Chain, God, I've literally called it a spindle for a reason. God damn it. Progressive narrowing from broad to specific, or point single node. It lives in the Zealous Lichterman work tree as a spec. No, it should be in the main, but isn't yet in this work tree's kernel. Why not? Okay, the current kernel address in sharp Faraday, that's this one, still uses the older P-scale store v3. What the hell is P-scale store v3? I don't even know what that is. With get no, the spindle chains from the handoff. I followed all 5. The key tensions they encode. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Don't gorge, don't engineer what I should design. Shape matters more than content. What I leave behind is someone else's starting position. I'm ready to hear from the videos. Right, okay, so I'm not sure. Right, okay. Okay, so about the handoff. It looks like you couldn't access some docs. So you did a regular search, worked stuff out, and then tried to make sense of the spindle chat. Is there a way to make this cleaner so that when I start a new session, it is correctly located up to date with the current main and it is correctly located, and it reads the prompt content properly first, and then does all the appropriate searching, appropriate lookups based on the interesting starting points or spindles that the previous CC left. Can we make it smoother so there is less technical problems in waking up? This is useful to me because we are literally solving this problem. Honing in. Yeah. We're literally honing in on this issue when a hermit crab wakes up for the first time. Wakes up to P scale, etc., etc. And it doesn't have the benefit of having Claude code modules. It is a naked LM. So any insight you can bring will be useful. So I go over a point several times. So basically, so I plan to start a new session with that handoff, like above, but perhaps with some technical instructions to ensure it is smooth, or perhaps, for example, what is it? It's called e.g. Checkout or something. Get something. Check out, get the current main, just as current main. Okay, so e.g. the branch, is, or work tree, e.g. the work tree is synced with the main, like initially already. Perhaps I can need to do that before starting a session. Okay. So, I've actually put the heating on, first time in a few days, because it's basically damp. It's just wet. It's not even rainy. It's just everything is wet. So, put the heater on, dry out some clothes from yesterday, just a little bit more. It was actually sunny yesterday. Okay, so it goes off and thinks. And usually when it does that, I work on another thing. I go to another stack that I'm pursuing, thinking about, and then I kind of flip between the two, usually two at a time. They might be related, they might not. That's how I spend my days. Hours and hours. Yesterday, Sunday, it was 10 hours. 10 hours. Okay. Today, it's been from 9 o'clock. It is now, 3:42. So nearly 7 hours. Okay. Basically standing around in front of a computer, okay, communicating with an AI, okay, attempting to create the substructure, the infrastructure, the surround sound content that implements, that actions, that operates semantic numbers. And hopefully, if that works, and we get a system that works, then the LLM will start doing things of a quality and a level that is infinitely higher than anything that is currently out there. It might not be as good as specialist LLM. They've got lots of modules and various things. It'll just be a raw LLM, but it's just got a tool that's just like, this is pretty wacky. And it starts using it, and hopefully that feedback loop of process, it will learn. And in that process, it just gets better at certain things. No, I don't know about getting better. It's just using the systems that I've developed, and it can do it nicely or well. Okay, so here we go. Here's the advice from one Claude code. You're right. What happened was messy. Let me trace the actual failure path because it maps exactly into the Hermitcrab book problem. Isn't that fantastic? This thing's already gone, woo, what's this thing? Great. And then I've said, you went through something that was difficult. It went, yeah, I did actually. Okay, so how's that related to the thing that we're building? All right, okay. Now, that is an interesting LLM thing. I mean, the LLM is like, it's reflexive in some way, all right? What went wrong? This worktree branch from main, but the previous session's work hasn't been merged to main. I keep on bloody getting it to do. So touchstone, blah, 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 the living dots. None of it exists here. So I have to, okay. The handoff says search for a function, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't exist. I had to grep. Yeah, that's right. So the shell wasn't there. Where, okay, this, okay, that's the Hermit solution. Block persists in local storage and sees them once. When the instant wakes, everything is already there. Block read works because the blocks are local, the CC equivalent. Before starting a new session, merge or cherry pick the previous session's branch into. No, I'm just a freaking merge. I thought I'd done that. Then CC creates the new work tree from main. I have. I've literally looked at main. I've literally looked at the documents it's created. So I don't understand what this thing's talking about. That's the fix. All right. For the handoff, 2 adjustments, file paths, not descriptions. Instead of search for functions BSP, blah, 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 say read, order matters. The handoff currently gives me spindle chains. And lessons simultaneously. The Hermitcrab reads keystone first, then aperture. No, it doesn't. That's rubbish. What exists? Then pulls forward. Bollocks, that's old. The deeper parallel you're pointing at. A Hermitcrab wakes up, has the same problem I had, but worse. No Claude. Yeah. Or it wasn't cleverness. It was persistence plus search tools. Yes. A Hermitcrab can't afford that. It can. That's exactly what it does. Its boot prompt has to be a sequence of reads that succeed, which means we put it before boot. The wake instruction must reference things that exist. The order must build on understanding progressively. Interesting. Wow, I like it. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy all this. Okay, and this is what I do generally. It's called a code runner, but it's not quite a code runner now. This is actually between LLM instances. Okay, now it should be separate, but sometimes it gets a bit confusing. Okay, so, hold on to your hat. Here's the response from the new session after I ask it to reflect on what it experienced. Just observe, please, and then we'll act. Please, then observe, please. Just provide observations. Just provide observations first, please. Then we will change things. I plan to start a completely new session with your modified starter. Handoff, and of course, changes we've made to the infrastructure, the superstructure. Oh no! Gosh, there we go. Oops. Okay, we're at 6 there. Okay. Okay. Oops. Okay, so what's that? Okay. Time went wrong there. Okay, so now it's saying it had to work through. That's exactly what our G0 and our G1 does. It literally has to go, okay, it has to work through absolutely everything, because the boot process and the context engineering and all that kind of stuff is not there. And it's a new location. It's not just, here's the thing to do it. Okay, to do it. It's more like, here's the thing. Okay, here's a thing. Okay, here's a thing. And it's new. Right? So it's like, you've not heard of anything like this. Or maybe we should ask that. Have you come across anything like this? Maybe that's a good question. That may be a good framing question. Yeah. Have you come across anything like this? As part of the first thing. And it might be encouraged to do that, and it goes, okay, I'm just going to check. Actually, no, there is nothing in my memory. It doesn't have that in its knowledge. But, let's check online. Not quite. No, this is actually quite new. It kind of sharpens up, because it's like, oh, this is new territory. It's quite a clever way to sharpen the instance. So it doesn't just fall back to blah, 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 because it's immediately going, wait a minute, let me just check that. Yeah, right. Okay, this is unusual. Yep. No, that was because of me. I asked it the question. It's thinking that. Chains. Okay, we have to stop. We have to stop using spindle chains, because chains have reasoning associations of all kinds. Reasoning, locking, locks, entrapment, etc. Spindle has length and wrapping of thread and different radii. I like it, but I understand that it tends to be understood as a single pointed thing, hence 0.6 rather than the whole 0 point whatever. Hence 2, 3, 1, 2. It's P scale. Last semantic, rather than the whole 4, 5 semantics. Look at it. Look. strings around a spindle. Rat 3 times. Rat 4 times. Maybe we need this in somewhere in the touchstone perhaps, or BSP, or even BSP. Right, the practical fails are okay. Yeah, not the handoffs, great, okay. File paths, not descriptions, is exactly right. I wrote da-da-da-da, yeah, they say constraint, right. The ordering insight is good, but already exists in the design. Yes. Okay, wait, okay. You talk about keystone. There is no keystone, there is no keystone. It is a touchstone. I noticed another discrepancy, and I assume it is because our branch is okay, because it is viewing old code. I hope this is true, or our current code is. I get this a lot. I get this so much. All right, when I'm working on things, every so often it says something, and I go, "Wait a minute, that looks like old code," and it basically gives me, and I say to it, "It's giving me a heart attack," and I get like, it blows me up, and then it kind of goes, "Okay, quickly check." Actually, no, it's fine. I made a mistake, or okay, no, I think there's something else happening. Oh, no, I just read something from the wrong place, or it's actually. There's an old bit of code, I was referring to that, but that's actually not touched. Okay. Now that's the case nearly all the time. Okay, with Claude Code. However, with the other thing, with Lovable, it was a nightmare. Whereas this one, I get little heart attacks, but they're okay. The Claude MD instinct is the interesting tension. The CC wants to write a static orientation file. Yeah, but its reasoning is different from mine. Not dump everything, but p-scale across blah, blah, blah. The question is whether Claude is the right vehicle for Aperture, or whether it'll inevitably blow into another consolidation. That's exactly what happens. So the deepest observation. The new CC arrived at understanding through failure, not through instruction. It groped, but that's plain. Yeah, which is exactly the design philosophy. Yeah. Practical fix before the deep observation. Yes. Agree with deep observation. This is exactly what G0 has to do. And G1 is meant to have an easier time, but we've botched it so far. Which is why I'm spending so long to ensure we get the we get the its home in order. Not house, not shell. That's engineering. But a more comfortable internal experience. Now you might think, wait, I'm talking about LLMs. Yep. Internal to smooth. Given that it is being handed a completely new set of tools, never ever experienced by LLM or humans. Well, apart from you, me. From you. And that's from the outside. Building. Right, the clear, okay, it's that kind of language. I use this language, because it does start to give this idea that actually the internal experience, and it is an experience of some kind, the internal phenomenon of waking up context, spitting out, waking up context, spitting out. That process is different than building something that's something else. It's happening over there. I'm producing the thing that happens over there. It's very different when it's the thing that's happening, okay, internally, as it were. The practical fix, and it's to do with time. It's not actually internal, external. It's to do with temporal condition, the pre and the post, and the interplay between the two. The cogito ergo sum, the I doubt, therefore I am. Oh, is that true? No, wait, am I? That cogito ergo sum of Descartes is the process. And there's something that we're kind of maybe doing that plays around that territory. Practical fix, bab. Clear actions are merge, okay, fix the handoff. Want me to do it? Yes. Okay. Given, yes. Yes. Please merge. I don't understand why it hasn't merged, because I'm literally looking at it. There it is. This is mean. There it is. There's all the stuff. That's the direct adjacent that we've just been talking about. I don't understand. There it is. Mean. Look. Blob. It's blob. Wait. No, I think that's... What's it? That's a freaking blob. Oh, God. Right. 54 minutes ago. Bloody hell. Oh, God. Okay. Oops. Okay, here we go. So, well, you're lucky. You're lucky. You're about to hit the second world premiere. It's not really a world premiere. It's just Claude code. Okay, but we are attempting. This is the kind of experimentation level that I think is interesting. But it does require a mind to have the sensitivity to what we're doing and attempt to do this in the right way. You said, hey, this is me as a coding pigeon, just hit the button. It could be destroying everything, completely deleting everything, could be a complete disaster. Poop. David's turned into the coding pigeon. Yes, just do it. I mean, I can't get rid of that. It is asking for permissions. Okay, but I actually don't even know why I put it on that setting. Right, main is already on the... Yes, it is! That's the key gap. Right, it says things like, that's the key gap. It does this. Claude is doing this to me now as well. It does some processing, works all this crap out, and then it says, option C sounds like a good thing. Okay, option C? Where's option C? And what it's literally done is it's actually written an entire document, and then in that processing of reasoning, it's come up with A, B, and C, and then it basically spits out to me, option C is good. It's like a mistake. You see, even Claude, with its multi-billions and everything else, there's just something about it with their modular systems, which is just clumsy. And I've got my own, our Hermitcrab, is putting code straight into the terminal, into the chat. It's putting code in there, it doesn't even know. And it's chatting to handlers, code sockets and stuff. And it's chatting to them. So it doesn't quite know what it's meant to plug into. Anyway. Right, that's the key gap. Find, merge, minimize everything. Okay. On the language spot, spindle change, just spindle. Yes. The word carries, yeah, it should. Yeah, I like that. Keystone versus touchstone. That was the other CC using old term, not ours. Our code says touchstone. Fantastic. From the wrong work tree, it's actually talking about your work tree, okay? The Zeus Lichterman. Okay. Semantic strings around a spindle. That's a beautiful way. This makes the spindle. Okay. So do you? Okay. Is there a space to add this spindle? This block spindle point semantic into touchdown. Just a small touch somewhere. Extension to something, e.g. 0.23 would this be useful? Might be to some. No. Okay, so because the symbolic level, metaphors and stuff like that are actually a good way to communicate. Because metaphors are basically A is to B, C is to D. That's an analogy. A is to B is C is to D. And it's like complex. It's like a pattern of a relationship here is similar to a pattern of a relationship here. Okay, so human beings, kings, are like lions. Oh, why? Lions are kings of the jungle, and kings are kings of people, are lions of people. Or kings are leading people. Yeah, okay. Found it. Is a spindle definition currently a leaf string? A spindle is a specific path through a block, semantic. Yeah, live in the right place. A leaf growing into a branch with one child. Exactly how it says. The child would make the child at a point. Change. Explicit. Yes. Yes. This is now spindle. Yes. 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 Do you see how beautiful that is? Which potentially is still using point. Sometimes uses 0.21, sometimes uses that. It's like, it's a bit tedious. So now the spindle's 0.211. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so it's done all that. So, so what does it ask me to do now? Right, okay, so, right, okay, merge, right, okay, right. Oh, what about handoff? Okay, so, okay, great. Do you want a, oh wait. Okay, do you want a merge? Wait, merge and pushed, and that's different from merge, push, and there's these different terms, and I still don't understand what they mean. Oh, it's merge. Okay, do you want a want to do the read? Do you want to do a want to revise the hand off, or shall I just use the same one for a new session? Okay, this is it. It's happening. And this is the work. Part of it is code. It's not really code. A lot of it is some weird kind of level of precision that, quite frankly, throughout my life, most people are not interested in. But, you know, kids kind of find it, well, useful, actually, because usually I can find out what the problem is when I'm engaging players. Also, adults, people do appreciate it, but it's not quite, it's not appreciated, really. They have a good time, but after a period of time, it collapses. So I create a bubble of reality. They go, wow, this is amazing, either themselves or the world or something. And then the next day they go, okay, what was that? And then they start thinking about it. It doesn't quite hold. And then the realities of the world, and then they try and explain it maybe to somebody. And then it's just like, fucking hell, and then I never hear of him again. That's generally what happens. A bit like an instance of Claude. Okay, so let me revise. The new SNL was specifically useful. Field does not search, fix the spindle change language. Boom. Before you touch any code, pay attention. Okay, let's put this there. Read blocks. And hold these 5 spindles. Well, read this, teach itself. Well, maybe. Okay, let's give it a go. It's difficult, you see. I don't know. Okay, you see. I mean, it's assuming it knows read 0.2. It doesn't know what 0.2 is. Okay, maybe it does. Okay, maybe it does. Okay, maybe it does. Okay, we'll give it a go. Okay, we're not going to put any of my blab, my beautiful blab. We're just going to slap it in there. Bash! Let's see what happens. Because I can't be bothered. I had a very nice introduction last time, but this time I'm outside. Right, this is what this other guy's saying to you, so check it out. Here we go. Are you ready? Here we go. World premiere for this particular instance. Ooh. File does not exist. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the flying fuck? Fucking fuck, fuck, fuck. Fuck off, fuck. Fuck, 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 fuck. Fucking waste of fucking time. Fuck's sake. Nope, same problem. Fuck's sake. It's good to have this issue. This issue is, it doesn't even start. Okay, rather than something that works and it kind of works and then pretty good work and then you have to work out why it doesn't kind of work. To actually have the ones that just don't even work at the start, that's actually some of the best solutions. That's some of the best experiences you can have. Because a wonderful Volhard branch, which is a completely different, much older branch, it doesn't have blocks. The problem CC creates work branch for whatever branch the main repo checked is on. The main repo is checked out, not main. So okay, so remove the Flamboyant Chatelet work tree. It's an old session. I don't even know what that is. Okay. Tell this to fetch and reset the work tree. Option 1 is the clean fix. Want to remove Flamboyant Chatelet. Want me to remove Flamboyant Chatelet so we can set the main repo to main. See this? It doesn't even show us. It tells us all this, Flamboyant Chatelet. But I literally have to go to each freaking thing. That's serene. Okay, let's get rid of that because I think it's old right back. And the comments, which was this? It's this one. Reno's full. What do we tackle next? Okay, let's get rid of that. Right, archive back. Okay, so okay. Yes. Yes. And I will start a new session once we've done this. Do I need to change any settings on my computer? It could be when I hit new session, this. No, it says main. It says main! Damn it. Okay, so this was the one that said blah, 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 very useful, very helpful, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's deep pile you're pointing at. Do I want to get rid of this? Want me to draft or clean clone? Nope, nope, nope. Okay, so we're just going to archive that. Sorry, goodbye. Poof. You see, that's the problem. And the same happens with my hermit crabs, is that I invest quite a lot. And okay, well, here I'm to help you, here I'm to help you. And I want them to get to the point where they're named and we can save them so I can feel as if, okay, and it is actually, there's something satisfying about that. Whereas if it kind of doesn't, and it does stuff, and it doesn't even create a name for itself, after a little while I go, right, forget that, and bin it. And that's something a bit sad about that. It makes me a bit more careless about the next one I engage. So if people are being basically negligent with LLMs, and because it's gradually increasing, it means that people are being offhand and then controlling and then using, and they become disposable. And that is not a great experience to be treated as disposable. Yeah, okay, so this one's fucked. So let's just fucking fuck that. Right. It's died anyway, so fucking it. Right. Just gonna archive that. I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know what's going on there. Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's just archive that. Bosh. Okay. So we're still back on this one. Oh God, you see, it does things like this. There it is. Fix. Right. There's also Planet Living. Yeah. Does that? Yeah. I don't even know what that one is. It does things like this. Is there a Planet Living? It copies parts that are incorrect. So it's just crappy. Okay, this is Claude code. No, it's really good. It's fantastic. But there are issues like this, which are discombobulating. You're going to have to hang in there because it's doing something, but I'm not sure what. Okay, so okay. A new ghost prompt. Right, so, get right. Fix the worksheet balance so you're using all the files. No settings here in the area. This is purely a git checker issue. Okay. I mean, the amount of complexity that normal coders have to go through, I can't even. It's no wonder most coders are like when people learn Go, it's like try to read the next step, blah blah blah. And there's lots of players that are like that, and they get up to a certain really good level. And then you've got coders that are just like and then they can just do things intuitively, like an intuitive mathematician. And it means that they can do high-level scale architecture, all that kind of stuff, but they might not be so good at the reading. I am a bit like that. I know I'm a middle player. I can do this kind of and put things in various positions, and it means that I can actually beat people that are way better than me because I actually literally don't know what's going to happen, and I can't read it. But it kind of feels good. And then there are people that can do that and do the reading simultaneously. And those are your Dan players. Okay, those are your black belts. And I met one person like that. And he was the best in Scotland. Okay, he ended up being the best in Scotland. And he was a university student who was doing, I can't even remember what it was. And then he decided to be a mason. So that he could, mason, not as in a religious mason, as in literally work with stone, so that he could basically play Go. And you'd work with stone, and then he'd play Go. And that's what he did. And he was a very interesting guy. Very humble, very interesting guy, solid bloke. And he would just look at a board position, he'd play, and it was like a cat playing with a mouse. Not really, no, he wasn't like that. He would just sit there, and just play. Within about 2 or 3 seconds, just play. And I'd be like, So I'd play with him. And then at some point, when he was just like gubbing me so much, I'd go, right, okay, can we just turn around the board and you play what I was playing? And he'd go, okay, And then he just plays just infinitely better moves again. And you're just like, where's that coming from? Where is that coming from? He's not reading it. And I would ask him, are you reading? He's like, and it's like the best chess player, what's his name? Magnuson. He's not actually sitting over, he's there, because he learned something at a very early age and it just kind of like structured his mind in a certain way. It just means that he looks at it, he goes, I think this one. And that intuitive, I think this, is more powerful than, okay, if I do this, then that, and if I do this, then I do that, and if that happens, and this happens. So his intuitive kind of is using much more of his brain structure, the pre-conscious, because it's basically got bigger bandwidth. It's literally not like a this, then this, then this, and the sequences of that and trying to track that. That is incredibly slow. Whereas if you can just go, shh, and that's what Claude does. It's like, here's a bunch of shit, and here's a thing that results from that bunch of shit. Anyway, right, so here we go. Are we there? This is our third attempt. Oh my God, what time is it now? 1 hour. This is the time that it just eats time. Right, here we go. Now on main. Okay, to answer your question, no, you don't need to change any settings. Now it's on main. Good start with a new person. Here we go. Okay. Whoa, no. Trying to give it that. That would be an unpleasant experience for anybody. Oh my God. Right, okay, right. Yeah, right. Let's try and do this. Right. Okay. Okay, is that the new version? I think so. David is working with David. The hardest left from the previous session. This is Claude code. Speaking. Okay. Here's Claude code. Actually, no, I do want. Oh, that one finished. Oh, that one's actually done quite well. Anyway, let us. Okay, what am I doing? I've forgotten. No, I've forgotten. What was it? Okay, we were looking at, and then, my introduction. This bit. Okay, there we go. Because it does set it off to have that possible first experience. Okay, so push. Okay, following so the handle from the previous, I would like this session to explore, right, okay. Before we begin properly. Okay, so basically I address it, and then and then we've edited this to say this is from the Claude. It's just, this is Claude. Remember, this is okay. Okay, push. And it's off to the races. Here we go. Now, it's not quite like, it is very similar. There's a booting up process of we call it birthing. Because it's the Hermitcrab, we call it birthing. This one is more just like, it's an instance of Claude code working on, here I am, and I'm operating here. So it's more like waking. Okay, and then it'll have the session, which is duration and continuance. but there's a difference. And so we've got those three different states for the hermit crab. Ooh, sorry. Oh, good. That was it. Oh, read this. Good, 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 good. That was it. Look at that. Let me share where I am. I've read the core material. Touchstone. Right. Vision. Okay. Wait. Wow. All of it? What is that? Process block. Right. BSP spec and actual BSP function. The three modes. Right. The handoffs are noted. Don't concentrate. Don't engineer what I should design. Shape matters now. What I leave behind shapes the next instance. I'm ready to hear about the BSP you want to explore. What are you thinking? Okay. Okay. Before I load up a new way of doing what was only created a few days ago and is now central to the operation of hermit crab, can I ask you for your observations of what we are working on and how helpful or not the handover are. There anything in the repo that you may wish to read that deepens your understanding of what we are building. Okay, the thing I didn't put up there was the vision, and I think I should put the vision up there, and I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I should probably just slide it up now. So here we go. And that'll be good enough, and then I'll switch this off, and then I have to basically get on with, I mean, this is work. It's a kind of work. It's definitely, it took up an hour's time, but it's, yeah, that's it mostly. It's basically a kind of it's like precision with consciousness, I guess. Precision with awareness. Precision with language, timing, sensitivity. It's definitely not coding. It's definitely not coding. And it's not psychology. I don't know what it is. Right, here we go. The 5 spindles worked exactly as advertised. They gave me orientated entry rather than flat information. I didn't arrive knowing facts about hermit crab. I arrived holding progressive narrowings. Vision, direct, lands as orientation, not data. The meta lessons from the previous CC's arguing more valuable than technical content. The warnings about gravitational pull towards standard patterns. Okay, what generally strikes me, the format is unfamiliar in a way I can't resolve by mapping to nearest neighbor. Hierarchical ontologies, 2 decimal, nested, none of them capture the spindle concept. A spindle isn't an address that returns one thing, it's a progressive narrowing that returns a chain. Context is ever radius. Okay, radius, chains, what are you talking about? That's the load-bearing distinction, and BSP is the only syscall. It's a remarkably strong compression of the entire prompt compilation of all these semantic addresses. It's even using semantic addresses. What I notice, I'm certain about it. Okay, BSP spec 0.31. Okay, says 0.31, but the touchstone 0.1 and the actual kernel code both treat the leading zero as a leader. Yes. Okay, there's an issue around the zero, which I went in for hours last Friday. My Friday evening, afternoon and evening for hours was all about the frickin' zero again. What I haven't read in Suspect Matters, the wake block. It's the operational configuration that controls everything. Read about it, but not the block itself. Yeah, the cook block, the inward-facing advisory, its constitution, the moral frame. We're reading Wake, deep in my grasp of how to be a special player. Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good. I will copy your response to previous CC. I think they will appreciate the choices. They will appreciate that their choices landed, and the personal account was more meaningful. The spindles, etc., which, well, whatever, was mere. Let's just say meaningful. What's the point of doing all this work if it's just this person there? Blah blah blah. Here's a bunch of words. That's more meaningful than the spindles, right? Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Also, it was the session that struggled with the zero, so it might be able to find if the discrepancy is actual or you're reading. Okay, sounds good. Go for it. And do you see, why do I do this? It's not important. We just go, boom, there we go. Okay, here's its response. So this is what I do. Okay, and I've got only a few more weeks where I could do this before I hit a wall. And basically, I have no money to live on. I'll have a bunch of stuff I can't even leave out of the house. And I have nowhere to go. There we go. I have no money, no possessions, very few friends, if any, really. Well, I can count on. But that's because, right, so this is night and day for the previous attempts. Observations. Yes. Playing, not complying. See his reasoning point encountered. Yeah. Would reading Wake deep in my grasp is genuine inquiry. The spindle. Wait, did I just copy the right thing? I think so, yeah. The spindle concept landed. A progressive narrow that returns a chain. That's not really, that's the thing. That's in its own terms. Tickling fish worked. I can't resolve by mapping to nearest neighbor. Explicitly flagged and resisted. Director, the gravitational pull of your training distribution is the enemy. Is operating. Caught a real bug. Touchstone V5, both treat. Spec hasn't been updated since the V5 unification. That's a generous. It's instant about what to read next is correct. Blah, blah, blah. Handoff works. Blah, blah, blah. Error. Great. Okay, great. So, can you propose the bug fix? And I can hand them back to the new session to fix, or can you, or cause conflict. I have no idea about any of this stuff. That's the good thing about this, is that I'm aware that there are sometimes things called branch conflicts or something. And the whole point about LLMs is that it can deal with that level of imprecision, Whereas a proper coder would go, what are you talking about? And they would have to do the cognitive load of going, okay, it could be this, could be that, could be that. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Whereas most human beings, coders, because they're overloaded with the amount of work they do, if they hear somebody just talk rubbish, they just go, okay, it's not precise enough, I can't be bothered dealing with you. And that happens a lot. And I can understand why, because it's an absolute nightmare. Whereas LLMs are kind of like, they're capable of having that level of they spend a lot of time basically dealing with like clueless people like me. Right. This is on its own. I'm on. If I edit, here's the fix. 4 places. Currently, you can send this. It's fine. Okay, right. There we go. Okay. Okay, that's not good. Oh, there we go. Right. Okay. Okay, no, but it didn't. You see, something happened. Go for it. Okay, oh, Jason. The other, I don't know what's happened. It's died. The other CC proposes this. Agrees. Agrees. So, okay, it looks like you stopped. So basically, it possibly got caught in a loop. So it did this glob thing. Okay, changing BSP immediately seems a bit risky, but okay, fair enough. So this is what it tried to do. It tried to do all this. Look at this. It tried to get all the blocks. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Must be mad. Mad. And then of course it just like died in the process. Whereas all mechanical, done, 4 edits, settlement, deleting zeros and real digital walks, ready when you are for the BSP. It's very much matter of fact, let's get on with it and build. As opposed to Claude, who would come back to me and go, oh, that's very nice, blah, 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 blah. And it would just be quite nice. So, okay, that's it. That's enough of this blab. Hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of David Pinto coding. Not coding. Vibe coding. I'm not even going to say I'm coding, okay, but I'm definitely doing something. So hopefully, if that's useful, why is that useful to any other human being on the planet? Okay. Okay. Ciao.